In a world where innocence clashes with darkness, a shocking reality emerges. A group of children, once filled with promise, now locked away for unfathomable crimes. Today we delve into the gripping tales of the 10 most dangerous kids currently rotting in jail. Brace yourselves as we uncover the chilling journeys of these young minds gone astray. Viewer discretion advised. This is not for the faint of heart. Let's begin. Number 10. Mary Bell. Mary Bell, a seemingly ordinary 11-year-old girl from England in 1968. But beneath that innocent facade lurked a disturbing and horrifying secret. It was a year that shook the nation, as 2 young boys lost their lives in a tragic manner, and the culprit behind the heinous acts was none other than Mary herself. The evidence pointed to her involvement, and the court found her guilty of murder. At just 11 years old, she became one of the youngest murderers in history. But what's even more chilling is the cold and remorseless demeanor she displayed during the trial. It sent shivers down the spines of everyone involved. After a decade behind bars, Mary was released in 1980 at the age of 23. But the question on everyone's mind was, had she truly changed, or was she still a danger to society? Psychologists studied her case extensively, trying to understand the mind of this enigmatic young killer. The factors leading to her actions were complex and deeply troubling. Her life after prison was far from easy. The world outside had changed dramatically, and Mary had to find her place in a society that would forever remember her gruesome past. So where is she now? What happened to Mary Bell? Is she still dangerous, or has she managed to rebuild her life and find redemption? The case of Mary Bell raises profound questions about the justice system, rehabilitation, and whether a child can truly understand the consequences of their actions. This is not just a story of crime and punishment. It's a haunting reminder that darkness can sometimes reside in the most unexpected of places. Number 9. John Venables and Robert Thompson. It was the year 1993 in the vibrant city of Liverpool, England. But amidst the laughter and joy, a sinister plot was unfolding. 2 10-year-old boys, John Venables and Robert Thompson, committed a heinous act that shocked the entire nation. Their victim was innocent and just 2 years old. James Bulger, a child filled with dreams and hopes, fell prey to the darkness lurking in the hearts of these 2 young boys. The crime was nothing short of horrific. But how did these seemingly ordinary children become the architects of such a nightmare? The trial that followed was unprecedented. Never before had England witnessed children facing such serious charges. Venables and Thompson were convicted as the youngest murderers in modern English history. The case of Venables and Thompson forced the justice system to confront a chilling reality. How do we punish such young offenders while still considering their age and capacity for rehabilitation? It's a question that continues to haunt society to this day. But let's fast forward to the present, where these once dangerous kids now reside behind the unforgiving bars of jail. Number 8. Joshua Phillips. It was 1998, a year that forever changed the lives of 2 families in Florida. On one side, we have the innocent 8-year-old Maddie Clifton, a sweet child with a bright future ahead. On the other side, we have 14-year-old Joshua Phillips, a seemingly ordinary boy who harbored a terrifying secret. In a heart-wrenching turn of events, Joshua Phillips committed an act of unimaginable horror. He took the life of his own neighbor, young Maddie Clifton. Can you believe that he hid her lifeless body under his bed for an entire week? It's unimaginable how someone so young could commit such a heinous crime. As the days passed, panic spread through the neighborhood as Maddie's disappearance remained a mystery. But little did anyone know that the monster responsible was living just a stone's throw away. When the truth came to light, shockwaves rippled through the community. Joshua Phillips was tried as an adult, and the courtroom became the stage for a trial that would grip the nation. As the evidence unfolded, it became clear that this was not the act of a child, but a calculated and chilling murder. With overwhelming evidence against him, the jury had no choice but to deliver their verdict. Joshua Phillips was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. This once promising young boy's future was forever sealed behind bars. Number 7. Eric Smith. A seemingly ordinary boy named Eric Smith, only 13 years old, starts penning down a story of terror that would grip an entire community for years to come. At just 13, he embarked on a dark and twisted killing spree that would leave the nation in disbelief. Imagine the sheer horror as this young boy took the lives of not one, not two, but 4 innocent souls, including a defenseless woman and her 2 young children. My heart goes out to the victims and their families. These heinous acts tore apart lives, leaving scars that may never heal. After a relentless investigation, the authorities finally caught up with Eric Smith. The young boy's facade of innocence crumbled, and he was brought to trial for his unspeakable crimes. The courtroom became a stage for justice and a search for answers. Eric Smith's actions, so inexplicable and terrifying, left the world searching for a motive. What could lead a child to commit such unimaginable acts of violence? Was it the product of a broken home, a troubled past, or something much darker hidden within? Experts and psychologists have tried to unravel the enigma behind Eric Smith's behavior. But the truth remains. Some questions may never have a satisfactory answer. Eric Smith's fate was sealed when the gavel struck, and he was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. A young life forever confined to the 4 walls of a cell. Number 6. Jesse Pomeroy. A seemingly ordinary boy, just 14 years old, embarks on a path of darkness that will send shivers down your spine. Meet Jesse Pomeroy, an innocent-looking kid who would later become the stuff of nightmares. Pomeroy's chilling tale begins with his first murder at the tender age of 14. Yes, you heard that right. Only 14. It was a shocking act of violence that rocked the city of Boston to its core, but little did they know, this was just the beginning. As the days turned into weeks and the weeks into months, Pomeroy's lust for blood only grew. He was like a predator on the prowl, seeking out his next victims with a cold, calculating demeanor. His young age made him even more terrifying. After all, who would suspect a kid of such unspeakable horrors? But wait, it gets even more horrifying. Pomeroy didn't stop at just one murder, he went on to commit several more. Each crime more brutal than the last, with a sadistic flair that's bone-chilling to even imagine. Reports surfaced of Pomeroy's victims being tortured and mutilated, leaving a trail of terror that haunted the city. People began locking their doors at night, fearing that the Boston boy fiend could strike again at any moment. The authorities finally caught up with Jesse Pomeroy, and justice was swift. He was sentenced to death for his heinous crimes, and the city breathed a sigh of relief, thinking the nightmare was over. However, fate had a different plan. Just when it seemed like Pomeroy's reign of terror would come to a final end, a shocking twist unfolded. His death sentence was commuted to life in prison, and the Boston boy fiend was sent away to rot behind bars for the rest of his days. Number 5. Craig Price. Craig Price, just 15 years old when he committed his first heinous act. A murder that shook the small town of Warwick, Rhode Island to its core. But little did they know, this was just the beginning. Not stopping at one, Price went on to commit 3 more gruesome murders. One of them unimaginably heartbreaking, a pregnant woman. The entire community was gripped with fear and confusion. Who was this young monster wreaking havoc on their lives? As the body count rose, so did the urgency to put an end to this reign of terror. And finally, the day came when justice caught up with Craig Price. But what led this young boy down such a dark and twisted path? Was it a troubled childhood, a series of unfortunate events, or something more sinister lurking beneath the surface? No one knows. Number 4. Alyssa Bustamante. Meet Alyssa Bustamante, an innocent-looking 15-year-old girl whose sinister secrets would soon be exposed. Little did anyone know that behind those innocent eyes was a troubled soul capable of unimaginable horrors. On a fateful day, Alyssa lured 9-year-old Elizabeth Olton, a neighborhood girl and her own acquaintance, into the woods. What happened next was beyond anyone's worst nightmares. In those woods, the unimaginable occurred. Alyssa unleashed her inner demons, committing a brutal and merciless act of violence. With a heart devoid of empathy, she strangled, stabbed, and slashed the innocent Elizabeth's throat. The tranquility of the town was shattered, and the community was left reeling in shock and disbelief. The chilling details of the crime spread like wildfire, gripping the nation in horror. The question on everyone's mind was, how could a 15-year-old commit such a heinous act? As the investigation unfolded, the darkness within Alyssa's troubled past started to emerge. Her life was far from picture perfect as she battled a difficult childhood, grappling with mental health issues and a tumultuous family situation. But does that excuse her actions? Experts delved into the mind of Alyssa Bustamante, trying to understand what drove her to commit such a vile crime. Was it the culmination of years of pain and despair, or was there something else lurking beneath the surface? The court proceedings were intense, and the nation awaited the verdict with bated breath. Ultimately, Alyssa was sentenced to life in prison, with a possibility of parole after 35 years. But was justice truly served? The question of whether someone so young could truly comprehend the gravity of their actions lingered in the minds of many. Number 3. Edmund Kemper. Edmund Kemper, a name that strikes fear into the hearts of those who dare speak it. Edmund's tale is one of darkness, intrigue, and pure evil. Born in 1948, Edmund Kemper's childhood showed early signs of his sinister nature. He had a disturbing fascination with violence and an obsession with death. Tragically, he killed both his grandparents at the tender age of 15, landing him in a psychiatric hospital. But brace yourselves, my friends, because that was just the beginning. Upon his release, Kemper seemed to be walking down the path of redemption, but it was all a facade. He went on a cold-blooded killing spree, targeting young women, earning him the title of the co-ed killer. The mere mention of his name sent shivers down people's spines, and his chilling modus operandi will leave you in disbelief. Yet, as eerie as it may sound, Kemper was a highly intelligent individual with an ability to manipulate others. His actions were carefully planned, and his sinister charisma allowed him to lure his victims into his clutches. So, what led to the eventual downfall of this ruthless killer? How did law enforcement finally put an end to his reign of terror? Edmund Kemper's case has been the subject of many books, documentaries, and even inspired popular TV shows. But the real story behind this chilling individual is far more terrifying than fiction. Number 2. Lionel Tate. Back in 1999, a shocking incident took place in Florida that rocked the nation. At just 12 years old, a young boy named Tate committed an unthinkable act of violence that would forever change his life. Little Tiffany Eunuch, only 6 years old, tragically lost her life that day. And what was Tate's excuse for his heinous actions? He claimed that he was imitating wrestling moves he had seen on television. Can you believe that? Wrestling moves turned lethal. This case sent shockwaves through the community and left everyone questioning how someone so young could commit such a brutal act. Tate was tried as an adult, and a life sentence awaited him behind bars. But as justice sometimes twists in mysterious ways, his sentence was later overturned. The world was left astounded when this young murderer was released from prison in 2013, having served just 10 years of probation. Number 1. Sierra Halsey. In April 2021, a horrifying event occurred. Sierra Halsey took the life of her own father, Daniel Halsey. It was a crime that defies reason, marked by unimaginable cruelty. The teens attacked Daniel with a knife, and even attempted to tamper with his body in a gruesome attempt to conceal their tracks. To escape the consequences of their heinous act, they fled in his automobile. As the court proceedings unfolded, emotions ran high in that tension-filled room. Imagine the anguish and bewilderment as the judge read out their punishment: life in prison with the possibility of parole after 22 years. It was a sentence that matched the magnitude of their crime, a crime that left shattered lives and a grieving community in its wake. Both Sierra and Aaron confessed to the crime, and District Judge Kiara Jones found them guilty, imposing the harshest sentence the law could levy. You could feel the weight of their acts in the very air of that courtroom, each syllable of the sentence resonating with gravity. Sierra appeared disinterested, her demeanor suggesting a chilling detachment. How could someone so young, someone's own flesh and blood, commit such an evil act? It's a question that lingered in the minds of everyone present. On the other hand, Aaron seemed to be crumbling under the weight of his guilt. What led them down this dark path? The media frenzy outside the courthouse only intensified, as YouTube channels attempted to dissect and interpret the crime specifics, adding their own opinions to the mix. But amidst the media circus, we mustn't lose sight of the heart-wrenching tragedy at the center of this tale. A family was torn apart, a father's life senselessly stolen, and a community left reeling from the aftermath. Let's remember Daniel Halsey's memory and the arduous journey to healing that lies ahead for all those affected. As Sierra and Aaron were taken away to begin their prison sentences, the weight of their actions followed them like a shadow, a constant reminder of the irreversible damage they had inflicted. Can true atonement ever be found on this dark and painful journey? Thank you all for joining us on this eye-opening journey through the lives of the 10 most dangerous kids currently rotting in jail. It's crucial to remember that while we've explored their shocking crimes, it's equally important to address the root causes of such behaviors. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and share this thought-provoking content with others. Stay curious, stay informed, and until next time, stay safe.